right. Yo, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? It's Josh back with another video, and I got another special guest in the building. I'm super excited about this one. This is a young brother out here, you know, putting out a lot of great information, and I definitely had to hit him up to bring him on, so we can have a conversation and talk tech. So if you guys are just rolling in here, go on and hit that like button. If you're feeling inclined, go on and share, so we can get this out to as many people as possible. Um, Really trying to, the whole purpose of this thing is to, put a lot, get a lot more people interested into the tech field, and that's my whole purpose for doing these types of interviews. Um, so let me go on and bring up my guest. And today I have Mr. Kenneth Ellington. How you doing, Kenneth?
Pretty good in you, Josh?
Oh, hanging in there, man, hanging in there. I'm like I said, I'm excited to have you on, bro. I seen you doing a lot of work with, blacks in cyber, as well as I seen you doing a couple interviews on other channels that I kind of associate with and everything. So I was like, man, I gotta bring this brother on so we can talk about this stuff or talk about what he's got going on. Yeah. So, um, let me give a couple shout outs right fast. Textual chatter, I see you in the chat. Yeah, shout out to you, man. Yeah, and that's the thing. I remember you interviewed him, textual chatter. So that was a dope interview. I was like, man, let me see if I can bring him on as well. And then also Black Dub 21, good to see you in the building. And all the people, sitting in the clouds or whatever. Go on, say something in the chat, speak or whatever. And also get your questions ready because um, I think he's got some information he could put out there. He's got courses, classes, and all that stuff. So, um, oh, and Tech C Xavier, what's up, man? He says finally caught it live. Yeah, shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you. Yep. So, Kenneth, um, how did you get into tech? What got you interested? Well, first off, no, before I go down that road, um, go down and introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Kenneth Ellington. I've been in cybersecurity for the past about 3 years. I went to the University of South Florida, which is in Tampa. My degree is in MIS in cybersecurity, and I've had various roles such as software engineer, SIM engineer, and now currently I work at one of the big four accounting firms as a senior cybersecurity consultant. And there I specialize in SIM and SOAR technology, so Splunk, QRadar, XSOAR, IBM Resilient, things of that nature. And then when I'm not doing my day job, I own my own training company called Ellington Cyber Academy, and I'm also a part-time instructor at the University of Houston.
Oh, that's dope, man. That's dope. And I think I heard you say, you was an instructor on something else at a university, and that's pretty dope, man. So what actually got you interested into tech? Because I know I know you've been in the tech field for about 5 years, right? Is it something like that? 4 or 5 years?
It's been about 3 years since like 2019.
Okay. Oh, 3 years, 3 years. I'm sorry. Um, so I mean, what got you interested in going into this field?
So originally, my dad's actually a software engineer. He's been one for the past like 25 years. He's the one that kind of got me interested in tech. So originally, back when I was like in middle school and high school, my pops made me do like Code Academy, like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. He got me like a month long trial license, and I did it, and it was like the most boring thing my entire life. So I told him, I'm like, Dad, so you're telling me that people basically pay you money to type on a keyboard and you make like thousands of dollars doing it? I'm like, it's the stupidest thing ever. Why would anyone want everyone to do it? And so I didn't do cybersecurity when I first went to college. I did
Hmm.
business management, and that's what my minor's in. It wasn't until I got towards my junior year of college at USF, that's when I started to get interested in IT, and I talked to my pops about it. He's like, "You should probably specialize in something." I'm like, "Oh, let me do IT." He's like, "That's such a great idea, Kenneth. Why didn't I think of it?" Um, and so that's kind of how I got down the IT rabbit hole, and then that's how I got to cybersecurity. And all throughout college, for the most part, I worked at public supermarkets. So if you ever been in the South, it's like the biggest supermarket chain there. It's awesome. It's amazing. Um, so when I worked there, I worked in deli to start off. And one of the big things I tell people make sure people know what your interests are, what you're trying to do, so they can promote you when you're not in the room. And that's what I
Hmm.
did. So I told my store manager, her name was Lori, and it just happened to be that the head of security for all Publix was going to come to my store because the headquarters was like 20 miles away from where I lived. Um, so she's like, "Hey, Kenneth, the head of public security is going to come towards the store in 2 weeks. Do you want to meet him?" I'm like, "Yes, please." So she set up a meeting between me and him. His name was Rick. So Rick sat me down. He talked to me, and he said, "Kenneth, I want you to work for my team, but my internship position for this summer is filled up because this was, I think, June of 2018. So the summer internship program already started.
Hmm.
So he told me if I can do like these certain tasks and go to these certain conferences, I can follow these instructions step by step. he can almost guarantee me a spot on his internship team next year. Fast forward 9 months, I do everything that he wants me to do. I interview with the team, and I get the job, and that's how I got. That's how I broke inside cybersecurity. Um, so that internship was probably one of the best times of my entire life. That's when I truly realized and truly understood what it meant to love your job. I never had a bad day there. It was awesome. Every day was amazing. I met like some of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my entire life. I honestly don't have anything negative to say about that entire experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was funny. I'm not gonna lie, I almost cried on my last day because I really did not want to leave. It was that amazing. And so from that, so that was the summer of 2019. I went back to the store, which I was pissed about because I didn't want to fried chicken anymore. Um, so because like during an internship, if you don't apply the knowledge afterwards, you lose it, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, so one of the big things was I wanted to still keep my skills fresh. So that's how I met Michaela and Blacks in Cybersecurity. So I became a campus ambassador for them for USF.
Mm-hmm.
So I did recruitment, I ran a location group, I promoted the brand, and everything was going well with that. I've met a lot of cool people, and then COVID hit,
Yeah.
and everything gets shut down. That was my senior year of college. I was supposed to graduate that year. Never walked. So
Wow.
pissed.
Yeah.
Um, so because of that, everything went online. So
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting in my room because I couldn't go anywhere because it was during the middle of COVID that summer
Oh
before I
yeah.
started my job at DTCC. And Michaela's like, "Hey, Kenneth, do you want to do a Splunk training?" I'm like, "Sure, Michaela." She's like, and I was like, "Okay, but who's gonna lead it?" She's like, "You are." I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "Okay, I can do that." Um, so that's how I got into like professional training. So I led that entire thing. I organized it. I designed the curriculum, the courses, the training for it, and I led it for about a month. And people liked it, so I did it again and again and again. And that's how I founded Ellington Cyber Academy because the need for it was just so big. People kept asking me for it. I'm like, I should probably start a business on this, and that's kind of how that came to be. And that's kind of how I am where I'm at right now. That's why I specialize in Simmons Store because it's really interesting to me, and that's kind of where my passion is right now.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope. Interesting, bro. You know what I'm saying? You dropped so many things during that, doing everything you just said, and I wanted to touch back on you said your dad kind of pushed you in by using free code camp or no
Code
code
yeah, Code
academy.
Academy, yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Hey, and that's exactly what I've been doing to my sons. So so um did you so you didn't like it at first, right?
No,
That's what you were
no,
saying?
that
Yeah.
was incredibly boring.
Hey, that's exactly what my kids do to me now. So I think they may come around to it, you know what I'm saying? But that's interesting. When you was telling that part of it, I was thinking about my sons right now, how they really not interested. They do it, but they really not like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't, but it's a good skill. Do you think that was a benefit for or when you look back on it, like, man, I'm glad he kind of pushed me to look into that type of training or coding or programming at that point.
Yes, I am. I wish I would have picked it up. I wish I would have picked up on it back then. I would have been a
Hmm.
lot further ahead than I am right now. Um, but it's all about like having the right mindset at the right time, and I didn't have it. So I wasn't gonna absorb that knowledge properly.
Yeah.
But I am glad that my dad showed me that because it got me to pique my interest about it. And when I
Hmm.
came back towards it during college, I was more ready for it to handle it.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah. So you hear that, sons? I know y'all listening to my live stream. Get on that programming training, like I said. Man, no, I'm just playing with them. But nah, that's awesome, bro. Now, um, that was a dope story, man. So, and I really wanted to highlight the intern portion of it. You kind of pushed to get that, right? Yeah, I mean, you by making connections with people, and that's something I try to highlight on the channel. Yeah, I mean, those connections are important. You know what I'm saying? Because that can get you in a better situation, you know what I'm saying, or get you an internship just like what you got, you know what I'm saying, just by talking to people and having conversations and letting people know what you're interested in doing. Some people out there will help you. Did you want to add a little more to it or nah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the big things I tell people is, it's not what you know, and it's not who you know. I take a step further. It's like who knows you, because for
Mhm.
example, like I know who LeBron James is, but he has no idea like who the hell I am, right?
Mhm.
That's the way I think about it. You need people to know who you are, what you're about, and like what your character is and what you can do. Um, because it goes beyond just you knowing them. Because if they don't know who the hell you are, it's not really gonna matter, right?
Mhm.
So making those real connections and developing those personal connections is probably one of the most important things you can do in cybersecurity, especially because it's a very small group of people.
Oh yeah.
Um, it literally it's like the same people that I see promoting a lot of this stuff. I think it's like maybe within like 10 people, and then they'll always switch companies. Um, so it's a really small inner circle in cybersecurity. So developing those personal connections is like incredibly important.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Since, we talked about, COVID and people being locked away and all this other stuff, because of that, do you talk about LinkedIn a lot more or other, social ways of connecting with people?
Yeah. So by nature, I'm a very naturally introverted person. So
Hmm.
I can't be around people for like days on end. I'll get very mentally drained. So that's why I do use LinkedIn a lot, like LinkedIn and Twitter. Um, I I think it's a very beneficial tool for people like me that don't always want to be too outgoing all the time. I've developed a lot of lifelong friendships from people who I've still never gotten to meet because of COVID. But
Hmm.
we've become just such good friends and connected just naturally because of LinkedIn. Um, so I would tell people, especially like college students, to develop LinkedIn as early as you can in your college career. So when you get out of college, it's a lot easier to meet people in the network and to get a good paying job.
Exactly, exactly. I 100% agree because, yeah, I try to push LinkedIn as much as possible because it's like awesome. I mean, that's how I connected with you. You know what I'm saying? By finding you, I saw your live stream on Blacks in Cyber, and I looked up your name. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and hit you up, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I can. I mean, that's how you make those connections. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just so. Well, hold on. Let me shout out a couple more people I see coming in, whatever. Shout out to Savage Scientist. What's up, man? Earl Owens, Big Pontiac, my man. Greetings. Willie M, what's up, bro? How you doing, bro? And Professor Black Ops, good to see you in the building, you know what I'm saying, my man. Shout out to you guys for coming through. And if you guys are, just getting here, this is Duke Ellington. No, man, I'm tripping. Kenneth Ellington. Every time I see your name, bro, I think about Duke Ellington. The jazz musician. Or well, let me ask you this: are you related to the Ellingtons?
No, no, no. I don't have that much money.
Okay, all right. Nah, that's awesome, bro. But hey, so um let me transition a little bit more to school. How tough was school? You know what I'm saying? And what made you decide? Because I know you said you got a business degree. Because I did kind of did the same thing. I got uh, a business admin. Well, I got a uh associates in computer networking, but then I got a another associates in business. Now, and based on what you said, you started a business and all that stuff. Did that help? Along with the tech program you went into as well? Or
It did.
mm,
Um, so for me, school, their points, it was the best way I can put it is it took me probably to my senior year to realize like the only thing holding me back was me. Um, the school could sometimes be hard because there's a lot of classes like I didn't really care about, but I need to get good grades so I can get to where I need to go.
mm,
Like I hate accounting. I hate everything about it. I don't like doing my own taxes when I get money back. I hate accounting so much. Same for like supply and change management. I didn't really have any interest in it, but I had to do it right because it was a part of my degree program. So things like that were really annoying. I felt like it was a waste of my time because I was never going to use it out in
mm-hmm,
the field. So things like that were really annoying about school. But overall, I mean, I love going to college. Like I wouldn't be the man I am today if I never went to USF or HEC. Because a lot of that like mental and personal development happened over those 4 years, which I needed to. That's why I became such a well-rounded human being. Um, because I couldn't have gone straight to like being a security analyst when I was like 18. I wouldn't be mentally ready for it. So I needed college. I needed those 4 years to become like who I am today. Um, and it was also difficult sometimes too because I worked two jobs, um, on and off throughout college. So I worked
Hmm.
in a deli and I had other internships as well. So I was doing a lot. I had 5 classes sometimes. So it was a lot of work, but I wouldn't change anything about it. It was super fun. I made like amazing lifelong friends because of it. I got to do cool things I normally wouldn't have if I didn't go to college. So it was overall pretty great experience.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, and that's one of the things I try to tell people because this kind of transitions to one of the questions I typically ask, like degrees versus certifications. But one of those things I always hear from a lot of people I talk to, that college is a great networking tool. That's one of the things you get out of it. Is the networking. You meet lifelong friends, like you just stated. You know what I'm saying, that can help you later on in life, at some point. Not that, that's the only reason you friends with them, but still, that's it's it's I don't know, it's just you make connections with a lot of people, by physically going to school. So, but let me ask that question. So, what do you recommend? Do you recommend people going the college route, kind of like you did, or just strictly going to certifications if they want to get into the tech industry?
It depends on where they are in their life.
Hmm.
If you're, let's say, 17 or 18 and you have a way to go to college without incurring like $40,000 in debt, then I'd probably go to college. Because that personal development is going to be very important to you and you're going to build your network. If you're, let's say, in your 30s and 40s and you've, let's say, already gone to college or something else, and now you're trying to break inside IT or cybersecurity, I wouldn't say go back to college to get another 4-year degree. You can probably get certifications or do
Hmm.
a boot camp, and that should suffice for what you need. So all depends on what you're trying to do. For me personally, my parents, because my parents are immigrants, so I have Jamaican
Hmm.
parents. So going to college wasn't a choice; it was mandatory. If I was gonna live in the house, so because of that, they paid for it. That and Publix also paid for a good chunk of it through their tuition reimbursement program.
Okay.
That's why I always say I still bleed green, even though I don't work at Publix anymore. 'Cause I'm just thankful for everything that they gave me.
Hmm.
So because of that, I graduated with zero debt, which I'm very
Dope.
thankful for.
Yeah.
Um, so again, it always depends on what you're trying to do and what your situation is.
Yeah.
But if you can go to college like debt free and no cost, and you're young, I would highly suggest it in most cases.
Yeah, 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 definitely, definitely. Yeah, and you're right. It kind of depends, what I'm saying, on your situation. Like, I I I went the route of joining the army because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? I could have went to college, but I don't know. I kind of wanted to get away or whatever, and get away from where I'm from because I'm originally from Louisiana, just like Textual Chatter. Shout out to him. And um, I don't know. That was just a way for me to not kind of run, but get away and try see something different, see other parts of the U.S. You know what I'm saying? Than what was going on down there. In my area where I grew up. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I went right back. I joined the reserves and then went back home. Um, so I don't know. It was just it. But you're right. It all depends on your situation and what you're trying to do, because I went to college after that. I was like 20, 22, 21 when I started college. And most people start when they're 17. So, um, yeah, all depends. Um, Now, as far as certifications go, do you have any certifications like for people that are trying to become a senior cybersecurity consultant? Do you need certifications, and what certifications do you
I would say need.
have?
It depends on what exact role you're trying to get into and what niche in cybersecurity. I do have some. So I have Splunk core user and Splunk power user. I'm about to get my admin certification in the next couple months. That and same for Azure. I'm gonna get my Azure. My exam is actually this Monday for Azure. So I'll be taking that, and then I also have Security Plus. Um, yeah, it just depends. I would suggest getting a couple because it helps
Mhm.
you stand out and it helps you get past that HR barrier sometimes. So that's helpful as well. But if you have like 30 years of experience or something like that, then I probably would say you don't need certifications. If you still want to get them, cool. It's a good way to test your skill set, but they're not always needed.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true. Um, what do you call it? Experience trumps, certifications. If people know that you're doing a job and you got the experience to, and you can prove it, you know what I'm saying? Be it your resume, your LinkedIn profile, people giving you, you know, the whatever those things are called, where they leave comments or whatever. Like if you actually for when you actually worked for an organization, you know what I'm saying? Then yeah, the experience will trump those certifications. Um, and you're right. It all depends on what you're trying to do as well, because different certifications apply to different types of jobs. So you want to make sure you kind of focus on what you're trying to actually go towards, whether if it's cybersecurity, whether it's systems admin, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So now you brought up Splunk, and I was gonna get to that. You know what I'm saying? So, what is Splunk?
So Splunk is a log management and data aggregation platform. What that means in English is basically all the machine data that gets generated from different devices. So let's say you have network devices, or you have a server, you have Apache server, you'll say you have AWS CloudTrail logs. Splunk can ingest all of that, correlate it, um, and then turn it into something that's readable and something that's usable. So it's not just, let's say, like ones and zeros are binary or something like that, or just like randomized events. You can organize it and make it to something that you can search on, you can create alerts, create dashboards on. So that's what Splunk does. Splunk in itself is not a SIM. That's a common misunderstanding. Splunk has a SIM portion called Splunk Enterprise Security, but Splunk in of itself, that platform is not a SIM. It's a log management platform. So for example, QRadar is a SIM. QRadar is just made for security logs. Same for Splunk Enterprise Security. Um, the issue that people run into different organizations is they try to use they try to use the SIM as a log management platform. It's not designed for that. If you do that, you're gonna crash your SIM. It's gonna run very slow, and you're gonna have issues with it. So that's one of the big things I try to tell people when they're trying to learn Splunk.
Hmm.
Splunk in itself is a log management platform. It does have a SIM component called Splunk Enterprise Security, but again, Splunk in itself is not a SIM.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and I did a little research on it because I did a video. I know they because I was in the military, veteran, and they have a lot of programs out there for vets, and Splunk has something out there for training as well. So that's what made me do a video on it and actually look into it. And the organization I work for also, recently, I would say like the last 2 years or so, or 3 years, I started seeing Splunk, being incorporated in server bills, so to speak. And I can't say too much, but I started seeing that. I started seeing it pop up. You know what I'm saying, in different areas of the organization as well as. So it seems like an important you know skill to learn. Especially since I'm seeing it kind of on my side as well. And that brings me to the question that Kamara asked in the chat. He said, "Is Splunk an important skill to know for a cybersecurity consulting role?"
So for my team specifically, yes, because I work on the SIM and SOAR team, so it's
Hmm.
mandatory to know. In most cases. So for example, Splunk serves like 92% of the Fortune 100 companies. So if you want to work at any one of the large companies, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna have some type of Splunk installment. So it is very important to understand it and to know. Again, like all SIM and log management platforms do the same thing at their core. just how they're configured, how they're designed, from the front end and back end perspective may look a little different for each one. So the learning curve may be different for each individual platform, but Splunk is the most popular. It is a market leader, so that's why more firms use it. There's also other SIEMs, for example, IBM QRadar, which I don't like for a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's Elastic. There's also Microsoft Sentinel. So those are a couple of the major players that have some platforms.
Okay.
So because if let's say if you're gonna be like a cloud security consultant, you necessarily won't need to know Splunk. You might need to know either AWS, GCP, or Azure, just depends, right? Or if you're a
Mm-hmm.
penetration tester, for example, and you probably won't need to know Splunk in a deep level unless you're trying to do pen tests against it, for example.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And I've heard of and that's the thing, bro. Years ago I heard of the one you said, Elastic, Elk, the Elk
Yeah, yeah,
stack.
elk. Yep, elk.
Yeah, I've played around with that, in a like virtual machine or whatever. Just looking at how it works. So what is it called? Log stash or something to
Yeah.
that effect? Yeah.
Uh, Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana.
Yeah, yeah. I think I did a video showing people how to install it. Yeah. So Splunk is just a more popular version of that, essentially. And that's the thing. I haven't played around with Splunk at all. I've just seen it.
Yeah, so Elastic is actually like significantly cheaper than Splunk.
Mhm.
But because the way you have to manage it and the way to scale it up is a lot more expensive. So normally the actual install is cheaper, but to scale it up is more expensive. You'll need more engineers to handle it. And because we're in a tight labor market, you may need to hire like 2 to 3 times more engineers compared to if you had a Splunk install it. So Splunk is, I'm not gonna lie, it's insanely expensive. Um,
Okay.
it's very, very expensive, but it's very good at what it does. And to
Okay.
maintain it is normally a lot cheaper from like an engineering perspective compared to Elastic or some of the other competitors.
Mhm.
Um, so that's why some firms may use Splunk if they're larger, or smaller firms may use Elastic because their needs aren't as large, for example.
Okay. Now let me ask you this then. So, um, Elk, I installed it on Linux. So with Splunk, is there a way to set up a free lab or some way of is some of Splunk like open source where you can install it on different platforms and just kind of play around with it?
Yes, so I actually during in my program I show everyone how to do that for Linux walks because Splunk that's the most popular thing for most clients. Or you work in industry, that's what you're gonna do.
Hmm.
So I show them how to install it on an actual Linux box. So you can get a free 60-day trial license of Splunk Enterprise, and you can install it either on Windows or Linux.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And man, I'm glad you brought up Linux. You know what I'm saying? So that's awesome. So uh, do you use Linux a lot when it comes to this, or
Yes.
okay, okay. So what distro you use? I don't know. I'm
Uh,
just asking.
it depends. I think
Hmm.
right now, for some of the lab stuff I'm using AWS for some of my personal labs. I'll either use CentOS or Ubuntu.
Okay, so is Linux super important for people? And that was one thing I was gonna ask, dealing with cybersecurity. I mean, most people say when you want to get into cybersecurity, you need to learn a little bit of Linux. So, is that true? Does that hold up? You know.
Yes, that's true. If you want to be like a Splunk engineer and work from like the architecture and backend perspective, it's mandatory to know and understand Linux because again, that's what most of the Splunk installments are going to be run on. So you need to understand it if you want to configure it from the backend perspective. If you
Okay.
want to be an incident responder or you want to be a security analyst, you don't have to be a Linux master per se. You just need to understand the fundamentals of it because you'll just be working from a front end perspective, not a back end perspective. But you will need to understand the various logs that are being ingested from Splunk when you're doing your searches and you're building your visualizations from that.
Okay. Now, also another thing I was gonna ask dealing with Linux, do you um have you ever done any type of pen testing or ethical hacking at some point or whatever? And I'm only asking because I love, Kali, Linux, Parrot, all that stuff. Let me just let you answer. Go ahead.
No, that is not my cup of tea.
Okay.
My girlfriend does that, but I I don't. That's not. It's never interested me because
Hmm.
I don't like writing like a dissertation every time I do something. And that's what I have
Okay.
to do if it depends testing ethical hacking,
Yeah.
because you can't hack inside someone's system. They ask you, "All right, Josh, so what do you do?" I don't know. I mean, I just did it.
Hmm.
Like I can't pay you $100 million to do that, and you can't give me an answer for it. That's
Yeah.
why I hate like the hundreds of pages of documentation that's required for it. So that's never been my cup of tea.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, because that is true. You have to document the whole process of how you actually got into it, and yeah, you're right. It's almost like a dissertation. I've seen some of those reports. So, uh, but um, so so that's just something that you never been interested in. That's awesome. So that lets people know, in the chat that it's different areas in cybersecurity, altogether. Where you don't have to, because that's one of the big buzz things. Oh, you need to learn Kali Linux. If you want to be a pen tester, that's something that's advertised heavy, for cybersecurity. But you and me both know, that's not just the only types of jobs out there. Like my man Professor Black Ops in the chat, he's always talking about policy and um Stigs. Have you dealt with Stigs? Because I know that's one of his questions.
I have
Yeah.
not actually.
Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. Cool. Um. Yeah, that's awesome. And then also, I wanted to ask you a little more about that. What made you take Security Plus, if you don't mind me asking?
So that was I took it because that was actually one of the things that Rick said. So going back towards my story, the public security manager, that was one of the things that he wanted me to get before
Mm-hmm.
I joined his team. Technically, I studied for it. I just never took the test because I got too busy. So I didn't take it towards like January of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it because I was still looking for a job and because I'm about to graduate, so I wanted to stand out. Um, so that's why I got my security plus.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. And the reason I asked is because that's like a requirement for that 8570 well 8570 requirement for
DOD.
like government, yeah, DOD, yeah, contracting and all that stuff. So that's one thing I was gonna ask you as well. Like if you been involved in any government contracting and all that stuff. But don't worry about it. Because that's kind of what I do now. I'm a government contractor.
Oh,
But
same with
yeah.
my pops.
Okay, okay, that's cool, man. That's cool. Um, and that was one thing with your story. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to interview his dad too, man. Let me hit up Mister, Pops Ellington and see if he can come on, man, and talk about, because based on what you said, man, he's been doing this, 20 some years, right, or 30, almost probably 30 years, huh, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, straight out of the Navy.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, man. Um, so let me see. It was one other thing I wanted to ask you. So programming. I wanted to cover kind of programming. Do you know any type of programming like Python, or do you recommend any type of programming languages for people to learn? Um, you know.
So, because I used to be a software engineer, I know how to program in Java and Bash. I haven't done it in a year, thankfully, especially for Java. It's like writing a paragraph to create a function. Such a pain. Um, so I don't do it anymore. Um, but I would if you want to get into like scripting and automation. I would know like basic Bash or basic Python is pretty beneficial for you. I'm not too good in Python, stuff I'm still trying to learn. But if I need to do something, I can research enough to get my job done. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so those would be the two things from like a security perspective that I would say is important if you want to get into like scripting automation.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. That's something. I also talk about as well. Like, I mean, you can a lot of times you could find how to do something online. You know what I'm saying? So understanding how to search Google, you can find a quick script and troubleshoot it. If you especially if you understand the basics of programming and how it works, to modify something to actually help you. So that's yeah, that's dope right there. But um, so and I'm kind of oh yeah, there we go. I was drawing a blank for a second. So automation though, is it important to learn any type of automation for cybersecurity? And I'm sure it is, but I just want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so if you want to do SOAR, which is something I also teach as well, automation is incredibly important. That's like the big thing about a SOAR. So SOAR stands for Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. So think
Mm-hmm.
of Palo Alto XOR or Splunk Phantom or IBM Resilient. Those are some SOAR platforms. Or think of Microsoft Sentinel, that's the SIEM and SOAR platform. So automating a lot of the boring stuff, the stuff that make people fall asleep, which then makes them make mistakes, which is how malicious actors get in. So SOAR platforms help with that, and they take away all the boring stuff so your security team can focus on the more serious aspects of their job.
Mm-hmm.
So automation is pretty important with that. So in a lot of cases, if you're like a super large organization, you'll have or they'll have like a full-time Python security developer that will develop um all the templates and then all the playbooks, and then your analysts they can just go through the GUI and then they can create whatever playbooks that they need to create. Um, so if you want to be like a Python security developer, something like that, then yeah, understanding Python and understanding automation is incredibly important for it. But if you're going to be like a senior security analyst or a security analyst, um, a lot of it can be done through the GUI, which it can be a little complicated if you don't understand programming, but it's normally not too bad.
Okay. Yeah, and I heard you say playbooks a lot. Do you have any experience working with Ansible?
I do not. So
Okay.
normally, the push changes out through Splunk. There's like something called a deployment server,
Mm-hmm.
and you push your configuration files out from that way, and then it will go to there's a Splunk Linux server, and make
Okay.
the changes not unnecessarily. But there are people that do use Ansible a lot. Excuse me, in lieu of an actual deployment server because I think it's a little bit easier for them.
Okay. So Splunk has that feature as well. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So it's no need for an Ansible server. That's cool. That's cool. Um. So that was the end of my questions, and I wanted to just get you to shout out. Well, actually talk about the Ellington Cyber Academy. So let me switch up the screen right fast so everybody can see, and I'll also drop your link in the chat. But I know you kind of covered the what the training that you have, but just go through it, man. Um,
Sure.
mm,
So Ellington Cyber Academy, or ECA for short, is a training platform, an e-learning platform designed specifically for sim and SOAR professionals. Because I don't like every area of cybersecurity, so I just don't want to teach all of that. Because if I'm not passionate about it, then it's gonna be very hard for me to put the energy back in towards it. So I designed it specifically for sim and SOAR, then cloud in the future. Think of Splunk, think of let's say Elastic or QRadar, I think of like XOR or Splunk Phantom. Those are some of the technologies that we teach. Um, our first cohort is actually this Wednesday. I believe we have one seated variable, so if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. So normally our programs are between 5 to 10 weeks long. The first portion is normally theory based, and the second portion is hands on, where we show you how to build out your lab environment. And then depending on the type of program there'll be different capstone assignments. The reason we do it half and half that way is because I want everyone to take my program to understand the theoretical base of what they're actually doing. So if they have to explain it to like a C-level person or a security manager, they're able to do that. Because you were saying index equals star, stats count by the user, by action. Like someone that's like a manager level won't know what the hell you're talking about. And then you won't get your funding, and then the actors are gonna get in, and then you're gonna lose your job. So we don't want that to happen. So I want you to be able to talk business and talk risk management, and explain that gap between the C-level people and then your technical people. I think that's a very important skill I think is lacking in our industry. So I'm trying to bridge that gap with it. Then the hands-on portion, because you need to understand what you're actually doing. So we show you how to build your own lab environment, how to run searches, how to architect, how to design solutions for it. Um, and with that, there's an intro program, which is what this upcoming cohort is. Then we're building out the extended program for introduction to Splunk and SIM technologies, and that should be ready by this fall. And then this winter and this spring, we'll be having our extended program. That and that will have our engineering architecture portion of it, and we'll be having our SOAR portion as well. So the beta price for this upcoming cohort was $997. It'll be raised to probably 14 or 1500.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, 14 or 1500 for this upcoming cohort. And with that, you get lifetime access towards our Slack channel, and you'll get access towards my team. And we have people that work at various different big companies, and so they'll be able to help you out if after for job placement. We have recruiters that also help us out and work with us. So you'll have a full pipeline, so you can try to get that good paying cybersecurity job.
Yeah, that's dope, man. It's this is an awesome, program. I definitely, you know, shout out to you for putting this all together. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is awesome, bro. For real. Like, cause I'm like, I kind of had the idea. I was like, hey, let me put out a course. Um, but you actually doing it I get the I would say the right way. You know what I'm saying? You got everything laid out. I just threw it up on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Threw some videos out there for people. Um you actually taking people step by step, and it's almost like going to school, to learn this actual skill. So shout out to you, bro. And that's why one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on for the to cover this, bro, because I really like respect what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I want to see people like you that are putting out great information, to actually win. You know what I'm saying? And help as many people as you can. You know what I'm saying? With through your courses and training that you putting out here for people. So it's awesome.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. Because um, it's another story. So when I first got into this field, I went towards my first security conference, and I think I saw like maybe three people that looked like me in a room full of like 200 people. And so I'm trying to bridge that gap so a lot more people that look like us have these opportunities, because I know it's very few from far between.
Yeah.
So just trying to make that positive change.
Exactly, I agree, man. Like, hey, same with me. And I was looking at the stats a while back. Like, black people are like dead last in this field. In the STEM fields in general. And it also looks at it broke it out. I think I was on Pew Research or something, and it broke out the stats, and I think we like last place in all of the STEM areas. You know what I'm saying? Dead last. You know what I'm saying? And so it's important that we put this information, not to exclude anyone else, but um, I understand that gap, and we need to, try to bridge it, like you said, bridge that gap, and that's one of the reasons I talk about tech all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because we got enough people talking about, rap music and beef and mess and all that other stuff out there. We just need to put more, positive images out there for people coming up behind us, so they can see that they can actually be successful in these types of fields, and make a whole lot of money as well. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Um, but man, I definitely appreciate you coming on. Well, did you have anything else you want to talk about about your course? Or I don't want you to not leave anything out that you may want to hit.
I think that should be it. Again, if you want to learn more about ECA, just hit me up on LinkedIn or Twitter and subscribe towards our mailing list and you'll get all our updates.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And guys, his LinkedIn is in the description of the video. I'm gonna drop it in the chat as well for anybody that wanna go to his LinkedIn. And hold on, I gotta find your Twitter again. I had it up. But what's your handle on Twitter?
I think it's like Kenneth Ellington, but no O or N. I think like 31, I believe.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. Go check out go follow him on his social platforms, LinkedIn as well as his Twitter. So and then also check out his website, which I put in the chat. I'll put it down there again. I also had that in the description as well. If you're interested in joining his Splunk training and the courses that he's providing out here, because it looks like something that's gonna be here for a while, and you may want to look into it, especially if you getting into the cybersecurity field. Space so, is and I'm fumbling my words because I'm trying to type and talk, but yeah, definitely follow his all his socials, and I appreciate it again, Kenneth. Shout out to you for actually what you're doing, and we need to celebrate more people that are actually out here doing it, and so I'm glad you was able to come on and cover exactly what you're doing, as well as show what you got going on, in the actual tech field. But um, I hope thanks to everybody for coming through. I definitely appreciate all you guys, always, liking, sharing the content and coming through. And if you're trying to get into the tech field, or if you want to learn Linux, I got a Linux course as well out there for free. You know what I'm saying? So you guys can, hop on that as well. Um, and all my videos is on here for anybody to actually get their hands on learning Linux, because I think it's super important, no matter what area of IT you plan on working into. Oh, and one last question I have for you. I just thought about it again. What's your favorite cloud platform? GCP, AWS, or Azure?
Um, that, I guess right now I would say Azure 'cause that's what I've been using for the past
Okay.
couple of months, but I do like AWS as well. I haven't touched it. I haven't touched GCP yet.
Okay. 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 Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I was just curious. That popped up earlier in my head, and I totally forgot about it because it's something else. But appreciate all you guys coming through. Definitely enjoyed this conversation with my man Kenneth. Definitely you welcome back, bro. If you ever want to come back and talk about anything, you definitely welcome to come back. And every now and then I do like a big panel. I try to bring on a lot of people that are in the tech field, um, so we can all link or whatever and share each other's stuff. I haven't done it in a little while, but I'm gonna definitely email you, or hit you on LinkedIn or something the next time I try to do it, because I don't know if you heard of Women in Linux.
Yes.
um, okay,
Tamika? Yep.
yeah, Tamika, and my man Gabe A. He typically comes through. He has a channel as well. He's a cybersecurity guy. Um, um, who else? Who else? Man, I'm drawing a blank, but it's a whole bunch of people that I'm cool with. Kev Tech, IT support. He focuses on trying to get people in the kind of like at the help desk level, as well as higher. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people out here, man, actually doing great things, and I just try to bring everybody together as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not no big channel, but you know I just try to I don't know, have a good conversation, for anybody that may be listening. But hey, again, shout out to you. I know I'm rambling on. Shout out to everybody that came through. Definitely appreciate you guys coming through. And if you can hang on in the back for a second, bro, that'd be appreciated. But shout out everybody and peace.